webinar. My name is Steve Pickering and I'm from Blue Sky Legal Solutions, and we're your host for this morning's session on NetDocuments. Shortly I'll be handing over to Chris Faulkner from NetDocuments to take us through the demo. But before I do, I wouldn't mind just briefly touching on who we are at Blue Sky Legal and what we do. Blue Sky Legal, it's a fairly new company that myself and my business partner Jason Mills has started earlier this year. The two of us have quite a long history working in the legal industry. We got to know each other at the Brisbane mid-tier firm Cooper Grace Ward. I was a CFO there and Jason was the IT director. We're both based in Brisbane, so we're local to the area and know the Brisbane area quite well. Our aim with Blue Sky Legal is to assist small to medium-sized law firms with managing their practice, whether it's through aligning their IT strategy with your firm's business objectives or providing strategic finance, accounting, and IT advice. What we find in small to mid-sized firms is that managing the practice is often the responsibility of the principal or practice manager who needs to wear many hats on a daily basis. And being the go-to guy for IT, finance, marketing, etc. is a pretty difficult job, and let alone being an expert in all areas. So what we aim to do is be that expert, but on a as-needs basis. And we can provide that expert advice in relation to IT and finance, but we don't need to be employed like as your full-time finance or IT manager. On the software side, Blue Sky Legal is one of two NetDocuments partners in Australia. NetDocuments, it's quickly becoming the leading provider in document and email management software. It has a fully featured document management system, and one of the great advantages of NetDocuments is its scalability. There's clients that are top-tier firms with thousands of users, but we also have clients in the Brisbane area that are just sole practitioners. So it's the same functionality, but it's affordable for firms of all sizes. As well as being partners with NetDocuments, we can also assist you in a few other areas as well. Another software that we sell is a practice management software which is cloud-based called Clio. Clio, it's a great solution for small firms from 1 to 40 staff. It does billing and your time recording really well, and it does your matter management really good, and it also integrates with NetDocuments. On the IT side, Jason is able to be engaged to do an IT strategic review and look at your IT infrastructure and provide you with a tailored plan based on what your business needs are. And the advantage of having Jason doing that IT review rather than your general IT provider is that Jason understands how law firms operate, understands the various legal software that you use in your business, and understands the unique pressures that you as lawyers face on a daily basis. Myself on the finance side, I'm a fellow of CPA and I'm also a tax agent, so I can help you with your general accounting and tax compliance work that you could use your general accountant for. I guess what I can provide over other general accounting practitioners is that I do have the legal industry experience and understanding. Also on the finance side, I can do your trust account audits and also help with internal finance procedures and reviewing your internal controls. Hope that gives you a bit of an idea about what we do at Blue Sky Legal. And now I wouldn't mind handing over to Chris from NetDocuments to take us through the demo of NetDocuments. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Steve, and good afternoon, everybody, or morning for you guys. My name is Chris Faulkner. I've been with NetDocuments for a little over 2 years now, and in that 2 years, NetDocuments has actually seen great enhancements within that time frame, going from expanding into multiple browsers, into enhancing the daily activity and use and features of NetDocuments itself. Now, NetDocuments has actually been in the document management system for over 30 years. We started out as originally a company called Soft Solutions, which was a on-premise service to where you had a local server and primarily catered to large law firms. And in '94, they sold Soft Solutions to WordPerfect, and then it went on from there. But in '99, the three creators of Soft Solutions got back together and decided to recreate the wheel, if you will, of how document management should be done. And the first priority for that was to release or relinquish the requirement for the customer to own, maintain, update, and do all the technology recycles on all the on-premise software. So they decided to take everything via the cloud. Now, many of us have heard of the cloud. Quite a few of us understand what it is, but in reality, a true cloud service will provide all the hardware and software and maintenance and cycle refreshes for the technology for the customer themselves. And the customer, in turn, just simply does a simple license, per-user license subscription model. And that's where the SaaS solution comes in, and it's quite handy for any size law firm and really can go into multiple verticals by doing so, because now the system is capable and available for any size unit, so it's completely scalable and can jump verticals again from legal, financial, real estate, insurance, so on and so forth. So really we have customers in very large segments across the board. So again, go back to a true cloud solution. NetDocuments actually maintains all the hardware and equipment and ensures the integrity of your data through the use of encryption and data security parameters such as randomization. Now, on the encryption side of the house, anytime anything is transmitted via your computer to NetDocuments and NetDocuments back down, everything will receive in transit 128-bit encryption. Once it lands on NetDocuments, it will then receive further encryption through AES 256-bit encryption, and that's where we start to apply the data randomization. What data randomization basically is taking everything about a document, from the document itself, title, text, metadata, history of a document, user licenses that have access to that document, and basically wraps it all into a digital envelope and then places that digital envelope in one of 26,000 nodes of information. And the whole purpose of that is, even if somebody knows of the existence of that document, the opportunity and chances to actually find that document are phenomenally impossible. And so when you're looking at data security, integrity, especially for personal identifiable information, relying on a local server and the measures of security that you can place on a document on a local server database is far and very far away from the applications that NetDocuments actually applies. And we've been able to do so since we opened the door in '99. Now, when accessing the data, you will have 24/7 access 365 days a year, and we actually maintain a 99.9% runtime rate, so that gives you almost unlimited access to your data. And if you expand that out, that's less than 8 hours of downtime. And for any type of solution, whether it's on-premise or cloud, that is absolutely astonishing. Now, as we go through the demo, if you guys have any questions, anything that you see of interest, by all means, go ahead and put it out there. I'll be more than happy to stop, cover that topic. If it is something that we're going to cover down the road, I'll go ahead and make note of that as well, and just make sure that I definitely reference your earlier question. All right, so before we begin and dig into NetDocuments itself, are there any questions just to get them out of the way? Nobody? All right, fantastic. Again, guys, the more interactive we make this, the better it is, and I believe the more folks take it away, the information, and understand NetDocuments as a whole. All right, so to log in, again, being that NetDocuments is a cloud solution, you'll simply go to your internet, whether it's Internet Explorer, Safari, Firefox, or Chrome. Simply go to netdocuments.com, go to login. You'll put in your username and password. select Login, and NetDocuments will verify your credentials and send you right into your account. And then from there, we tie those credentials to capabilities to set ethical walls, so limiting folks, whether it's a single user or a group of users, to access areas within your NetDocuments account. And then we also can set that to where within those areas of access, you can limit a user's rights to view, view edit, view share, view edit share, or view edit share administer. And we'll cover in more depth as to how those apply. So when you first land in, you will land on the end user's homepage. So this is user specific. So each user will have their own unique homepage, and everything on the homepage is there because they place them as a favorite item, whether it's a document, folder, email, saved search, shared space, workspace, you name it. Every single icon in NetDocuments has a star right next to it, and simply by clicking on that star and turning it gold, that'll place it on the home page, and then the end user can go ahead and modify the home page and create their own unique subheadings and simply drag and drop those items where they want them to go. Now, there are times to where a group of users are working on the same documents, so sometimes you'll see in a workspace or in a folder the need to send a favorite item to a broad group of users. And to do so, we allow you to right-click on a star, and then you can simply select to add to another user's homepage. You'll select OK, and this will give you a list of all the users that you want to send this to, and then you'll just simply put in a subject and any information that you want to have them review before accepting, and that will ultimately place that item on a home page of theirs as well. Most of the times we see this to where folks are working and preparing documents, whether they're getting ready to go to court or do a closing on a deal, you name it. All right, so going on the overall structure of a NetDocuments account, everything starts at the very top level, which is the repository. And within NetDocuments, a repository is basically where all the data for an organization will reside in a single location. And in here, I denoted this by ND & Associates LLP. You guys would simply put in your company names and logos, and this really does a couple of things for you. One is it lets you know that you're within your account and you're not on a malicious site fishing for information. And two is it also acts as a home button. So if you're on any other page, whether you click down here on home or click on that logo, it will bring you right back to your home page. And then everything underneath the repository kind of trickles down into its specific locations. And by that I mean cabinets. Now, the idea of cabinets isn't much different than how you would break documents out at an old office where you have the steel filing cabinets. Basically, cabinets are a way to organize data based on the activity within the organization itself. And here I have several cabinets. I have my admin cabinet, a couple of law firms, and then a couple of just generic legal matter cabinets, so my active day-to-day documents with my clients. And then within the cabinets, you can actually set them up under one of two structures. And this is really where NetDocuments takes it to the next level. So most folks organically know document management as a simple folder structure, much like the directory on your desktop or a local server. You'll have the top-level folder and then all the sub-layers beneath, or the subfolders. And as you drill down into the subfolders, you note that it can become quite cumbersome when you're trying to rapidly find a document, or you're trying to put a document into the system, or if you're just trying to review a document just to make edits, updates, whatever. So if you're spending more than 5 seconds to try and retrieve a document to work on it or update it or load a document into the system, really the folder structure just shows that it's not all that scalable. All right, so the issues that you generally run into are those which are including folder proliferation, having to dig several sublayers deep to find or place a document, inconsistent naming of folders, which many folks run into as All the end users are allowed to create their own unique folders and then place items in there, such as personal folders, or just misplace an item altogether. And then the other issue is searching for said documents. So here, after I drill all the way down through several sublayers, I can finally go into my documents, make edits, changes, check them in, check them out, create new versions, so on and so forth. Well, that's one structure. The next structure, and the actual way to truly manage your data, is through the use of profiling. In profiling, we're really getting away from the idea of using folders and going more towards the concept of using filters to organize my data. And when we switch over to a filtering or profiling cabinet, you'll note that this navigation pane changes quite dramatically. And again, that's because we're no longer talking about folders, we're talking about filters, and filters, not only are they completely searchable, but they are that much easier to organize and create a standard operating procedure for everybody to relate a document to the organization. So before we dig into a workspace, which are what are created when you use profiling, let's actually go through the process of uploading a document. To upload a document in NetDocs, I'm going to simply go to the upper left corner, select Upload, and then a directory from my desktop will pop open. And this will allow me to go ahead and bring in a document. I can bring in multiple documents, up to 150. I can bring in a multiple assortment of documents, whether they're PDFs, Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoints, Word, JPEGs, you name it. I can go ahead and load them all in here. And if I wanted to select more from another location on my desktop or server, I would just simply hit Select More and then navigate to that location. And in here, you can see we're going into a folder tree. It can be quite cumbersome because then I'd have to drill all the way down until I get to my specific location. When we talk about going into a profiling cabinet or using filters, I'm going to simply select which cabinet I want to go into, and then I'm going to simply hit OK, and it'll bring me to my profile tags card. Now, profiling, this is where the heartbeat of profiling comes in, is now I am going to, as the administrator, set up that standard operating procedure for relating documents within this cabinet. Here I'm going to simply require that every document has a doc ID, which NetDocuments generates for you. Every document has a document name, which we inherit natively to the document itself. And then I'm going to require folks to answer just a couple of questions before migrating that data in, such as, all right, which client is this for? Now, most law firms I've seen to where they'll do a parent-child relationship for the client and matter, and this is really not only to separate documents out based off of which client, but to further segregate them based on which matter for that client. In the analogy I like to use, it would be the difference of placing a custody support document in a child custody case versus putting it in a DUI case for the same client. And so here I'm allowed to select from a multitude of matters related specific to this client, and then I'm going to just label it with a specific type of document type. Now, you can customize these to fit your needs. And that's one great thing about NetDocuments, is the ability and flexibility of the system to go in here and hand create an entire account for you and then require fields or not require fields to be answered prior to a document coming on board. And this really gets rid of folder proliferation, inconsistent naming or accidentally placing a document in the wrong place, and then every single one of these fields becomes completely searchable. And again, we'll touch on searching more later. All right, so before I continue, any additional questions? All right, so we're good to go. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the home page. And again, you can select here, or you can select the logo. That'll bring me right to my home page. And to round out this navigation pane, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a couple things. One is I can simply search off of a specific client and matter. I have the option to go to any recent matters that I was working on. Or again, much like we saved items as favorites, we can save matters as favorites and select them from here as well. Searching for a matter. It's very simple. If you understand or know the name, or if you use a client ID, you can search off there and it'll do an auto predictor search. Or you can use the ellipsis pin, select all, and get an entire list of all the clients that you have access to. So here we'll go ahead and select client 1001, Mr. Alexander, and his matter that we're going to look at just happens to be 201 Covey v. Covey. Now, once I select that item or those two profile fields, all the documents that were profiled client Alexander, matter 201, are placed within that matter-centric workspace. Now, you can do just a client-centric workspace to where if I was working in the financial field, I can select Alexander Household, and an entire workspace will be based around that. And then the document types become subheaders within that workspace, so I can nice and neatly organize all the data that I have pertaining to this specific matter. All right. The other big thing that you'll notice is that this is no longer a manila or yellow folder. This becomes a blue icon with the folder peeking out. Again, that denotes a workspace. And then the folders turn blue with the gear icon. That denotes the filter. All right. So workspace looks like a drawer open with folders, and a filter is a blue folder with the gear icon. All right. So as you go through, one scenario that we see quite often is a lawyer or somebody goes out of the office. They call back to the office, hey, can you take a look at Alexander Covey v. Covey, all his agreement documents? Well, I just simply navigate to that location, go down to agreement, and if I want to, I can peruse through this manner, and if I have more than what I want to show, I simply hit next, or I can select the filter itself and get a list view of all documents that are contained within. All right. And to check out a document, it's fairly simple. I'm going to just simply hover over the title of the document, left click, and what NetDocuments will do is it'll take a cached copy off of our data center and send it down to your desktop as a local copy. And from there, it will call for the item to open up. And then if I have view edit rights, I can go in here, review the document. If I need to, I can go ahead and make changes. And we'll make some quite large changes here. And then once I'm done, I'm going to simply hit Save and Close. And thanks to our new enhancement, ND Office, that document will automatically check in. So what the check-in process is basically taking that cached copy off my desktop and pushing it back into NetDocuments. And then at that point, other users will be able to go in, check it out, and make their edits and changes as well. Now, we do have a few things to discuss prior to refreshing this page and getting rid of this check mark. This check mark actually does a few things for us. One is it gives us a visual cue of which documents we have checked out. And if you see while I hover over it, it'll actually give me a date timestamp of who's checked it out and when. All right. This used to give you a single point to where you click on that check mark and it would check it back in for you, but thanks to ND Office, that enhancement has been overridden. And so what this will view on other users, if you have a document checked out, is they'll see that gray check mark. They can still check that document out in view mode only, and we do that to keep a document from being corrupted by multiple saves happening at the same time. And then again, they can see who has it checked out, and if it happens to be somebody that went on vacation and you can no longer get a hold of them, well, then the admin for the account can actually go in there and force check that document back in. And a force check-in, basically what it does is it allows that document to sit on that desktop, and it just resets it so other users can go in there and make edits and changes as they need to. When that individual gets back, they can go ahead and check that document back in as a new version. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and hit refresh, and this will actually disappear. Okay. Now, the other items that we can do with ND Office or the Microsoft Office integrations is if I check a document back out, I can actually go in and make edits, but I can also save as new versions to this document. So once this document checks out to me, if I scroll to the bottom of the document or go to the footer of each page, I'll note that there is a doc ID, which corresponds with this document's unique doc ID, and then a version control number at the tail end. All right. What this allows me to do is if I make a new version, I'm going to simply go to File, Save As. NetDocuments will bring open ND Office, which looks much like a directory within my account, and it'll automatically default to save as a new version. I'll simply add my notes, hit Save. NetDocuments will run everything in the background. It'll check that document back in and leave me in the document itself so I can continue working. But we'll note down here, now the version control number has changed. All right, so now I have two versions of this document. All right, and again, once I'm done, I just simply hit Save and Close, and ND Office will check that item back in for me. And so we'll wait for it to pop up here in the lower right corner. And then I'm going to hit refresh, and we'll see that this check mark goes away, and that V1 becomes V2, denoting two versions of this document. If I want to check out any prior versions, I simply go to that V and whatever the number happens to be. I get a dialog box of all versions and a date timestamp of who's checked it out, or sorry, who's created that new version, and any notes that they may have added. And from here, I can go ahead and check out version 1 if I'd like to, simply by left-clicking on version 1.doc. All right, so the rest of ND Office, or the integrations into Microsoft Office, I'm going to actually close out my browser altogether. I'll minimize Outlook. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually create a brand new document in Word, so I'm working completely autonomous to the web. And I'm going to create a brand new document. And we'll note if I scroll to the bottom, no footer, nothing, right? Completely clean. But I'm going to check this into NetDocuments. Again, I'm going to go to File, Save As. This will give me a directory of my NetDocuments account. I'm going to title the document. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually select where I want this document to go. So in the new firm, I want it to go to my legal matter cabinet. Once I select my profiling cabinet, or a cabinet that has profile fields added to it, I can simply come down here and select which matter I'm going to associate this. So I picked Client 1003, Marcus Allen, Matter 301, Steele versus Lupus, the document type. So basically I'm profiling on the fly. Once I'm done, I'm going to hit Save. NetDocuments will check that document in and again allow me to stay within this document, and will denote the doc ID and version control number. All right, so full integration into Microsoft Office also allows us to check documents out from NetDocs, again remaining autonomous to the web. So I'm going to simply go to File and Open, and a directory opens up of my NetDocuments account, and now I can go anywhere and select a document to open. So we'll go ahead and take a look at pleading proof of service, and we'll bring because I was told to. out from the cloud down to my desktop. And here it is. In here, I can go ahead and make my edits and changes. And once I'm done, again, I can either save and close, and it'll check it back in as the new official version, or I can go to Save As and create that next version of this document. Okay. So we'll go from version 11 to version 12. All right. And again, if I scroll to the bottom, there we go. Now all I have to do is just simply hit Save and Close. NetDocuments will check both these documents in for me. And I don't even have to be linked to the web. What this is called, they're referring to it as an invisible DM, which allows you to work straight from your desktop, stick to your Outlook, and just keep on going. Any questions so far, guys? All right. So we'll keep on moving in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go back into a workspace here. And we're going to talk about other features and functions that you can do with NetDocuments. You may have noted several different types of documents, Word, PowerPoint, Excel. But you may have also noted that there are emails saved into NetDocuments as well. And how we got these emails in here is through our integrations into Outlook. So many firms are still using Outlook. It's great. A lot of them still live in Outlook, which is even better. What this allows me to do is actually save emails or correspondence from Outlook directly into NetDocs and save them under the MSG format. And what this does is actually, when I open the email up in NetDocs, it'll open in its native format. And in here, I can review the email, whether it's the body or any attachments, and I can also forward and reply if I want to. How I got this in here was through one of two integrations into Outlook. The first integration is called the EMS folder tree. All right, EMS just simply stands for Email Management Service, and much like we saw the directory in ND Office, this will mimic anywhere you have access to within the NetDocuments account. It'll look like a folder tree just because that's how Outlook displays it. But if I were to drag and drop an email into this profile-based cabinet, it'll automatically profile that email for me. Now, I could also strip attachments if I just want to save the attachment, and it'll do the same thing. And the other manner is through the EMS profiler. All right, so much like the profile tags card we landed on when we uploaded that document, this will allow me to select my client, my matter related to that client, and if I want to, I can call it a different doc type, but more importantly, access. Access, this allows me to either provide standard access so everybody on the account can see this document, or private. Maybe this is just something that I need to see, nobody else. So once I select those profile fields, I simply hit ND File, and a copy will go into my NetDocuments account. Now, if you drag and drop into the folder tree, it will automatically remove it out of your inbox. And this folder tree is set up on a 60-minute loop, and that's NetDocuments wide. So if you put a document in there or an email in there on minute 1 or minute 59, once that 60-minute loop closes, it will wipe them out of this folder tree and only reside in NetDocuments. Now the profiler, on the other hand, you can select it to retain a copy in your inbox and a copy in NetDocuments. And to do so, you'll simply go over to File, EMS Profiler, and right in here you can select to remove it out of Outlook or keep a copy. You can also select to prompt to file outgoing messages. And what that does is if I'm starting a brand new email, all right, if I hit send, it will just send it out. Now, if I go to select prompt if empty, what will happen is it will prompt me to profile this email. All right, so I just simply, again, select client, matter, doc type, hit send and file. Now, if I have this selected, I can still hit send without filing, and I don't have to worry about filling out the profile fields, and it will just go to the intended recipient. All right. The other nice thing about the profiler is if I profile an email and capture it the first time, it will remember the email address that I received it from or sent it to and automatically default to that last location. So if I select on another email, it's blank, but if I go back, it auto-populates. All right. Okay, so rounding out in the workspace, other items we can do within NetDocuments, obviously you can do version control, you can set and limit access rights. Some of the other fields we have available, you can send to applications, so a lot of folks will use third-party apps such as DocuSign, whatnot. We have the ability to allow you to send it to that application. Delivered secure link is one of two ways to where you can collaborate on documents. Whether you just want to simply provide access to this document via a hyperlink to external folks, whether it's your clients, you name it, you'll simply select the document or groups of documents that you want to create a secured link for, add in the recipient's email addresses, you can type them a message, and then more importantly, you can apply security options. I highly recommend this over sending anything out via email because while you do this, this retains all the security protocols that NetDocuments has in place to allow you to, again, retain complete custody and control of that document and allow it to remain encrypted, right? If you send it out via email, once it goes through the pipe, it's all fair game. It's whatever encryption and security measures you have on your email system. Here, this is just simply sending out a link. It'll allow you to prevent them from downloading, or you can go ahead and let them download the document. You can lock that version out before sending it, apply a password to this security link, and you can also set an expiration date. So once this link hits that expiration date, it drops dead. You have to create a new link. Once you apply all these, if you decide that you want to send this link out via Outlook, you can go ahead and do so. You'll just simply copy and paste this into your outbound email. Now, if you send it through this manner, NetDocuments will track the history. So if you ever decide to do an audit on who's done what with a document, you can go ahead and do so, and this will capture it. And then the other manner of collaboration is through the shared space. A shared space is much more like a client portal to where you house all the documents for a client in a folder or a workspace. And then maybe you just want to give them access to a few at hand to keep business moving forward. That's where this client portal comes in, or a shared space, and allows you to easily keep track of what's going on with these documents again. And you limit access to these simply by allowing those external members a free license into this client shared space. You'll simply add them as an external unit, email them a link. They will get it, and their email address will be their username, and then they will create a password to allow them to access and securely use these documents. You can also create discussions. So if you wanted to discuss here next steps, you can easily do so. You can reply back and forth with them. And again, this allows you the collaboration without actually having to be in front of your client or on the phone with your client. This gives them the ability to access and review these at their leisure. And again, you can follow the entire history simply by going over here to Share Space Options, go down to History, and review what's been done within this shared space, either by individual users or all users. Right? And then much like social media, if you want to know anytime somebody's accessed one of these documents, made edits, changes, so on and so forth, you can follow this shared space, and it will apply alerts to either email or text, letting you know that somebody has accessed and made a change to these documents. And then, of course, much like a file path, you can always scroll back to the workspace simply by selecting that location within this file path. All right, we've covered a lot. Before we go any further into searching, any questions? All right, you guys are an easy group to please. All right, so we're going to go ahead and roll into searching then, and NetDocuments actually has several search engines built into the product. The first search we're going to do is across all cabinets, and as you see, you can select specific cabinets, or if you're in a cabinet or a workspace, you can search within that location as well. And this is the full text search, so we can search across the title and text of a document. Now, the question is, will a document be searchable if it has not been OCR'd, such as a PDF image document? The answer is no. A PDF does need to be OCR'd, and that's so our search engine can crawl through the text of that item. Other than that, it sees it as a picture, and it'll just pull it up if it's in the name of that document. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to search through, and actually I'm going to limit this down to my legal matter cabinet, and I'm going to search for the word agreement. And again, NetDocuments is going to search through the title and text and pull back all those results. All right. Now, being that I searched for agreement, it will crawl through Word docs, PDFs, emails, Excel spreadsheets, you name it. All right. If I want a more precise result, if I click on details and I do a search within a cabinet, I can do a search analysis. And this better refines results down into topics, company names, people, locations, email addresses, and any of my profile fields, such as client, matter, doc type. So here, it's not 100% perfect. So sometimes company names such as John Deere end up coming out as people. But it is a very sophisticated list of algorithms that actually runs the search, and it's usually pretty accurate. So here I'm going to search for agreement across company names, and let's say HSBC Bank. So once I select my item, I should see 17 results. So I'm going to hit Show Docs, and again, it'll refine those results, and I should only see 17, which is a lot better than 88. And then from here in the snippets, it will highlight it in bold where it found that item. And so then once I want to take a look at it, I simply check the box. Here in the details preview, it gives me details about the document specifically. Or I can hit the preview, and it'll show me the inside of that document. So instead of having to check it out and then go and realize that's not the one I want, I just simply hit the checkbox, go to preview. I can expand and collapse this page. So now I get a much fuller view of the inside of this document. All right. And across the top here, something that's been enhanced since July of this year, is the ability to go in here and customize this search pane as well. So in here, I can go ahead and get rid of versions. I'm sorry, not versions, comments. I can get rid of defendant, and I can add items such as created by and modified by. All right, so we'll switch those around, hit save. And now I can see the name of the document, the version of that document, who created it, who's the last that modified it, and the modified date. All right. The next search engine, which is the advanced search denoted by the hamburger icon or the 3 horizontal lines. I simply select advanced search and it'll bring me to the advanced search page. And again, I can search across any cabinet or all. I can do a simple word search, but more so I can search across any attribute related to that document. If I search off of doc ID, that's going to ignore everything else and bring me just that document. But in here I can go through clients, matters, doc types. If I select to search across all, you'll note that this changes quite dramatically again. And I can also search by created by, date range, modified date range. And in here on the date range I can select a specific date, or I can say the last week to current. Then more importantly, if I want to pull back specific doc types, whether it's Word, Excel, PowerPoint, WordPerfect, you name it, I simply select those items and it will pull back those types of documents. And so if I run these searches, again, it'll give me a list view of those documents. And let's say I want to save that item. Well, I can go ahead and save that search so it'll always look for those results. And then I just simply profile this saved search to live within my NetDocuments account. I'll go ahead and star it as a favorite. And again, when I go back to my home page, there it is. Anytime I want to run this search result, let's say I did do a date range, so from the last week to current, anytime I hit it, it will search off of that last week and current. So it's always a rolling calendar in that manner. All right, the next search engine is the recent docs, and this is actually the most used search engine within NetDocuments. That's because now I can search any recently edited, opened, or added document to the account simply by selecting which view, and it'll list it in descending order of occurrence. And then again, to round out searching, if I do use the Outlook integration, I can look at all emails, received emails, or sent emails within the NetDocuments account simply by selecting which view, and again, listed in descending order of occurrence. And that pretty much rounds out the NetDocuments demo portion. Are there any questions? I know you guys have been pretty quiet. I'll be more than happy to take any questions offline. Other than that, Jason, Steve, do you guys have anything else that I should touch on?
I don't think so, Chris. I think that's been fantastic. I think you've covered the bulk of the functionality. Yeah, we're not getting any questions through from any of the attendees at the moment, but yeah, certainly if any come through, we'll flick them onto you, and hopefully we can get some answers back. And yeah, but apart from that, I'd like to thank you very much for taking time out of your afternoon to help us out and do this demo for everyone. And yeah, we certainly hope that everyone that attended enjoyed it.
All right. Well, hey, I really appreciate the opportunity, guys. By all means, I look forward to doing more of these webinars and having even more attendees, which would be great. But again, if anything, any questions, by all means, filter them through Jason and Steve. They'll get back to me, and I will be more than happy to immediately answer them and get everything you guys need. Other than that, it's been my pleasure. Again, thank you very much, and I look forward to working with all of you.